Emma had always dreamed of her wedding day. She imagined the soft glow of lanterns, the gentle music, and the warm laughter of family and friends. But as she stood in the quiet room of the small inn, the echoes of the wedding celebrations fading outside, she realized that tonight was going to be unlike anything she had ever imagined. Her heart beat fast, a mix of excitement and nervousness. The room smelled faintly of roses and polished wood. Candles flickered, casting soft shadows that danced on the walls. She took a deep breath, trying to calm herself, expecting a peaceful evening with her new husband, Jake. Jake had been her partner for several years. He was kind, strong, and protective, the kind of man who made her feel safe in every situation. He had a quiet humor that always made her laugh, and a smile that could brighten her darkest days. Emma had thought their love story was simple, full of gentle moments, trust, and shared dreams. But life had a way of surprising her, and tonight, the surprise came in the form of someone else. The inn's door creaked softly, and Emma turned. Standing in the doorway were two familiar figures, Jake and his twin brother, Luke. Luke's presence was unexpected. Emma had met him many times before. He was always charming, witty, and fiercely loyal. But tonight, he was serious, and the seriousness in his eyes made her stomach flutter. She had never imagined that both brothers would be involved in her wedding night. Luke stepped forward first, his gaze steady and calm. "Emma," he said, "we've been part of your life for a long time. We care for you more than we can say. Tonight, we want to be honest with you about how we feel." Emma's mind raced. She had always known both brothers loved her in different ways. Jake had been her choice, but Luke's quiet devotion had always lingered in the background. She had assumed that after her decision, Luke would step back and respect her happiness. But now, standing there, he seemed determined to show that his feelings were still strong and genuine. Jake, standing beside his brother, nodded. "We don't want to cause you any pain, Emma," he said. "But we also can't hide our feelings. We want you to understand that we are willing to share this life with you together. You don't have to choose one and leave the other behind. You can choose both of us, or we sleep outside. The choice is yours." Emma's mouth went dry. The words were shocking. She had never imagined that her wedding night would involve such an unusual request. But as she looked at both brothers, she saw something in their eyes that made her pause. There was no arrogance, no demand, only honesty, love, and respect. They weren't trying to force her hand. They were offering a choice, one that required courage, trust, and open-heartedness. She sat down on the edge of the bed, trying to gather her thoughts. Memories of the past few years flooded her mind. She remembered meeting Jake and Luke at the county fair, watching them race across the fields on their horses, laughing as they competed for prizes and each other's company. She remembered the quiet moments, two sitting by the river, sharing stories of childhood dreams, listening as they spoke of hopes and fears. Both men had shown her a kind of love that was rare, deep, and unwavering. Her heart ached with the weight of the decision she was being asked to make. She had always imagined love as simple, linear, a path she could follow without deviation. But life, she realized, rarely worked in straight lines. It had twists, surprises, and challenges that tested not just the heart, but the courage of a person. Luke moved closer, careful to give her space, but close enough that she could feel the warmth of his presence. "Emma," he said softly, "we know this is unusual. We know it's not what most people expect, but we also know what we feel. And we know that we want you to be happy. If that means being with both of us, we are ready. If it's too much, we'll step outside. We just needed you to hear us." Jake reached out and took her hand gently. "You don't have to answer now," he said. "Just know that we are honest, and our feelings are real. We love you, Emma, in ways that are different but equal. Whatever you choose, We respect it. You are the most important part of this equation. Emma felt tears prick at her eyes. The situation was overwhelming, but at the same time, it was strangely freeing. For the first time, she realized that love could be bigger than she had ever imagined. It didn't have to fit into a simple box. It could be shared, it could be open, and it could still be honest. She thought about the years she had spent with both men. The small acts of kindness that had built trust and affection between them. She thought about the laughter, the moments of support, the quiet evenings when words weren't needed because their presence was enough. Could she open her heart to both of them? Could she accept a love that was unconventional, but genuine and true? The room was silent except for the soft flicker of candlelight. The tension was thick, but it was not unpleasant. It was the tension of possibilities, of choices that mattered deeply. Emma took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. She realized that whatever decision she made, she couldn't make a choice based on fear or obligation. She had to listen to her heart. The twins waited patiently, sensing that she needed time. There was no rush, no pressure, only presence and care. Their eyes met hers, and in that silent exchange, Emma felt the depth of their love and commitment. She understood that they were offering not just their companionship, but trust, patience, and understanding. They were asking her to be honest with herself, as much as they were asking her to consider them. Hours passed like minutes. Emma sat quietly, thinking, remembering, imagining what the future might hold. She realized that the love she felt for Jake and Luke was complex, yes, but real. It was not a fleeting attraction, nor a superficial desire. It was built on shared history, mutual respect, and deep emotional connection. She knew that life with either of them alone would be fulfilling. But life with both could be extraordinary, if handled with care, patience, and communication. As the night deepened, Emma stood, her decision still forming but her mind clearer than before. She understood that this moment would define the course of her relationships and shape her understanding of love, trust, and partnership. She looked at Jake and Luke, their expressions gentle, patient, and unwavering. She felt a warmth in her chest, a spark of hope and courage. The first part of her journey on this wedding night ended not with a choice, but with realization. She understood that love was not simple, and that true happiness often required embracing the unexpected. As she prepared to speak, she felt a mixture of anticipation, fear, and excitement. The night was still young, and the path ahead would require honesty, courage, and an open heart. But Emma knew one thing clearly. No matter what happened next, her life had changed forever, and she was ready to face it with clarity and honesty. The candlelight flickered as the room remained silent, the weight of possibilities hanging in the air. Emma's journey had just begun, and the choice she was about to make would ripple through her life in ways she could not yet fully imagine. The twins waited, patient and understanding, as she gathered the courage to embrace the truth of her heart. Emma spent the rest of the night sitting quietly, thinking about everything that had happened. Her mind was a whirlwind of emotions, confusion, surprise, nervousness, and a strange, growing warmth in her heart. She could still see Jake and Luke's faces clearly in her mind, their eyes filled with sincerity and love. She realized that they weren't trying to force her into anything. They were giving her a choice. And that choice was built on honesty and respect. It was something rare, something that made her feel both challenged and cared for at the same time. As the night grew deeper, she decided to talk to them. She didn't want to ignore the situation or pretend it was normal. She needed answers, and she needed to speak from her heart. Jake, Luke, she began softly. I don't know what to say. I never imagined a night like this. I love Jake. I do, but I've also always cared about Luke. This is a lot to take in. Luke smiled gently. Emma, we know it's not easy. We never expected it to be simple. We just want you to understand that our feelings are real, and that we want you to be happy. That's the most important thing for us. Jake nodded. We trust you, Emma, and we trust ourselves. We know this is unusual, but love is not always easy, and it doesn't always follow the rules. If you feel that your heart can include both of us, we're ready. But if it can't, we will respect that too. We just needed to be honest with you. Hearing their words, Emma felt a mixture of relief and pressure. She understood their sincerity and could feel the depth of their love, but her heart had to make sense of it too. She thought back on the memories she had shared with both men, Jake, with his calm strength and gentle humor, and Luke, with his clever wit and quiet support. Both had been there for her through difficult times. Both had celebrated her victories, and both had offered her love in ways that were unique, but equally important. Emma realized that love was not a simple line or a single path. It was a web, complicated and sometimes confusing, but beautiful in its complexity. She remembered a moment from the rodeo years ago, when she had fallen during a practice run, and both brothers had rushed to her side. Jake had lifted her carefully, holding her hand to reassure her. Luke had stayed close, offering a handkerchief and a warm smile, whispering encouragement. Both had shown love in their own way, and neither had asked for anything in return. The realization struck her deeply. Love could be shared, love could be honest, and love could be flexible. She didn't have to limit herself to one choice if her heart could hold more than she had expected. The question was, could she truly open herself to both Jake and Luke, without fear, without jealousy, and with complete trust? She looked at them again, their expressions patient, calm, and expectant. They were not demanding. They were simply waiting, trusting her to make the decision in her own time. Emma took a deep breath and spoke. I need to know something first, she said. If we try this, if we try to share our lives together, will there be jealousy? Will there be arguments? Can we promise each other that honesty and respect will always come first? Jake and Luke exchanged a brief glance. We can't promise it will always be perfect, Jake admitted. But we can promise to always try. We can promise to talk, to listen, and to respect each other's feelings. That's all we can do. But it's enough if we are all honest and patient. Luke nodded. Love is not about controlling each other or following rules set by others. It's about understanding, trust, and care. We are ready to give that. And we know you are too. Emma, if your heart can handle it, we can make this work. Emma's heart felt lighter. She could feel the truth in their words, and she realized that she had already carried feelings for both men for years. She hadn't allowed herself to admit it fully because society told her it was strange, because she feared judgment, because it felt like too much to handle. But now, faced with their honesty and patience, she understood that what mattered was her own heart, not anyone else's expectations. She reached out and took Jake's hand first, feeling the familiar warmth and comfort. Then she took Luke's hand, and their fingers intertwined naturally, as if this moment had always been meant to happen. I think my heart can handle it, she said softly, her voice trembling slightly with emotion. I want to try. I want to be with both of you. If we can promise to always be honest, to always respect each other, and to always care for each other's happiness first. The relief and joy on their faces were immediate. Jake smiled warmly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Emma, that's all we needed to hear, he said. We will make this work together, step by step. We'll learn and grow, but we'll do it with love. Luke's smile mirrored Jake's. You've made us the happiest people alive, Emma. We promise to honor your heart, to support you, and to cherish every moment we have together. This is our choice too, and we are united in it. The three of them sat together, hands still joined, feeling a sense of connection that went beyond words. The night was still dark, but the room was filled with a warmth that only honesty, trust, and love could create. Emma realized that she had stepped into a new kind of relationship, one that required courage, patience, and continuous care. But she also realized that it was a love that was real, deep, and worth embracing. As the first rays of dawn began to touch the horizon, Emma felt a sense of peace. She had faced her fears, acknowledged her feelings, and chosen to embrace love in its full complexity. The twins, Jake and Luke, had offered her a chance to live a life of honesty and shared affection, and she had accepted it with an open heart. They decided to spend the morning simply together, talking, laughing, and planning for the future. Emma knew that there would be challenges ahead. They would need to communicate constantly, respect each other's boundaries, and always put honesty first. But the foundation they had built was strong. They trusted each other, and they had chosen this path together. The sun rose higher, painting the sky with soft colors of pink and gold. Emma, Jake, and Luke walked outside together, feeling the crisp morning air on their faces. There was a sense of freedom in the air, a feeling that life had opened up new possibilities. They laughed together, joked gently, and shared quiet moments of connection, knowing that this day marked the beginning of a unique and beautiful journey. Emma realized that love was not about fitting into a mold or following the expectations of others. It was about honesty, trust, and the courage to follow the heart, even when the path was unusual. She felt gratitude for both men who had loved her so deeply, and for the chance to build a life together that was based on care, patience, and mutual respect. By the end of the morning, they had already made plans for the days ahead, how they would live together, how they would make decisions as a team, and how they would ensure that everyone's happiness remained a priority. The future was uncertain, yes, but it was also bright, full of possibilities, and grounded in love that was real and shared equally. Emma looked at Jake and Luke, feeling a surge of emotion. She knew that this life would not always be easy, but it would always be honest, loving, and fulfilling. And as they walked together into the sunlight, hands linked, she felt a sense of hope and joy that she had never known before. This was the beginning of their life as three hearts intertwined, committed to love, respect, and understanding. And Emma knew, with every fiber of her being, that she had made the right choice.